Hey fellow peers, Sofia Static here, and welcome back to another installment of Closeted Anime Geek. This is a series where I discuss, review, and analyze things relating to anime. Today I'll be discussing Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8 of Komi Can't Communicate. Quick recap. Tadano is the average kid who's helping the popular girl with social anxiety make a total of 100 friends. We start off with episode 7, with where we left off on episode 6. See, Tadano was severely sick, and he meant to call Najimi to help him, but he accidentally called Komi first. She gets him some soup, does little errands for him and stuff like that. And Najimi does eventually show up, but right at a very tender Komi and Tadano moment, where she's holding his hand. Scandalous. Komi fears that Najimi witnessed this and that she's going to be judged. Her anxiety is almost to her wit's end. For a moment, she collects herself and decides to write Najimi a note to explain herself, claiming that what they witnessed is a misunderstanding. But was it? Many second guesses and potential consequences go through Komi's head. For instance, will writing a note perpetuate the misunderstanding? Is she making a mountain out of a molehill? Would it even make a difference if she explained herself? Okay. Realistically, she just held Tadano's hand. There's a lot worse that could have happened, but Najimi is a very social and suggestive person that has the potential to perpetuate a simple situation. So, even without a social anxiety disorder, I can understand why Komi was nervous. Personally, I wouldn't worry about it, but to be fair, this is the first time Komi has been in a situation like this, and I appreciate that she considered to right a potential wrong through an effective way of communicating. In the next segment, we see what Tadano was doing the first morning of his first day back at school from winter break. God, that's a mouthful. Shit. He doesn't seem to completely remember whether Komi came over or not, because he was so sick. He's going through his own internal stress because he doesn't know whether to thank her for coming over or not. If he hallucinated her coming over, he might come off as a creep. If he asked whether she came over or not, he might come off as rude and unappreciative. He decides to ask Najimi because there is proof that they came over to his place. However, Tadano runs into Komi first, and it's all weird and vague for lack of communication's sake, deepening the misunderstanding. Damn, anxiety's a little bit. Next, we are introduced to two new characters. A narcissist. Specifically, a main character complex narcissist. And Komitani, his friend and fellow commentator. Okay, automatically, I love these two. These dudes definitely have a YouTube channel together or some shit. Or hell, maybe even a podcast. Naruse thinks everyone is eager to associate with him, when in reality, no one gives a shit about him. Naruse believes that Komi's the only one worthy of being around him. But he notices that it's been 9 months since school started and Komi hasn't said a word to him. And surprisingly, he guesses at first that she has social anxiety. But he quickly shoots that down because, get this shit. She's as beautiful as him, and there's no way someone that beautiful could have something like social anxiety. He tries to make the first move, but is intercepted multiple times. Through a simple kind gesture, they somewhat interact, and it perpetuates his main character narcissist complex further. Oh boy. In the next segment, they are organizing groups for an upcoming field trip to Kyoto. Everyone seems excited, except for Komi. The last time Komi went on a field trip was in middle school, and it happened to be in Kyoto as well. Tadano asks if something is wrong. She denies it, but he assures her that she can open up to him whenever something is wrong. Komi eventually does open up and admits that she lied about going to Kyoto before. Apparently, she felt left out on the middle school field trip because she didn't communicate and didn't have a friend group to go with. She was grouped together with a bunch of random kids, but she felt like she was a burden to them. So she decided to ditch the field trip. Komi is still scared to go on the upcoming field trip because she feels like history will repeat itself. Even though she has friends now, she feels like she's still a burden. Dude, that bazooka hit me straight through the f***ing heart. My god. I think I mentioned this before, but one of the reasons I was drawn to this anime is because I'd say I have a mild to moderate form of social anxiety. I got f***ing misty-eyed because the amount of times I felt like a burden, especially with my established supportive friends, emphasis on the supportive, has happened to me more times than I'd really like to fully admit. and I know many people who have felt this at least once in their lives. A hard-hitting, all too relatable moment. Following the events of the previous episode, Komi and her classmates are headed to Kyoto for their field trip. Komi is restless to go. As class president, Tadano has to make sure everyone is on board the train. He runs into Ren's group, which also consists of Nakanika and Agari. Ren's pissed because she's not with Komi, and Nakanika is pissed because she has to be with Ren. Agari is just there. Hang in there, girl. Inika is with Onome and Kade, who notice that she has an accent and simply ask where she's from. Of course, Inika doesn't want to reveal her deep, dark secret of her bumpkinness, so she freaks out. We also find out that Tadano is paired up with Naruse and Makoto. Naruse is being his narcissistic self, and Makoto is excited to be sharing a room with Tadano. I didn't consider this before, but this field trip grouping might give us a chance to explore compartmentalized and specific dynamics. For instance, we know what Nakanika and Ren's dynamic is like, but I don't think we were shown what Agari is like with either or both of them. Same applies to Onome and Kade with Inika, and Makoto and Tadano with Naruse. If they go through with this character exploration, it will definitely play into my desires to build up characters and their dynamics this season. We find out that Komi has been paired off with two complete new characters, Mikuni Kato and Ayami Sasaki. Tadano probably won't be able to help Komi with this social situation, so she'll have to handle it on her own. It's an interesting conflict, a good way to introduce new characters, and a good way to get an outsider's perspective on Komi. We are also introduced to a nervous tour guide, Ryoko, who's trying to get a handle on every curveball thrown at her. She just wants to do her best and teach these kids about Kyoto history. But many shenanigans ensue. Next, we get to see where the class is staying, a huge resort type of place. They are informed that each group gets 30 minutes with the bath. Of course, this is kind of an excuse for the show to have bath time shenanigans. Okay, listen. I have nothing against group bath sessions, and I'm the first one to tell you that nudity isn't inherently a sexual thing. But I'm also aware that people, including media production people, will take advantage of situations to perpetuate harmful framing. In this instance, Ren really wants to take advantage of bath time in order to get close to Komi. Really close. Fuck off, Ren. Not only does this perpetuate Ren's horrible ass behavior, it also plays into certain viewers' desires. Even Agari admits that she was made fun of during bath time in her middle school field trip. Even with the character admitting this, the show still plays into fetishizing young girls. Like, there's a way to normalize group baths and nudity without sexualizing it. That just turns people away from inherently harmless practices because of the constant implications of it. This instance is especially dangerous to media illiterate people who can't distinguish fiction from reality and who will use this illiteracy to harm real-life people based on what's perpetuated through media. Even if it was full-blown adults taking a bath together, I'd still have a problem with the sexualized framing of those bathhouse shenanigans. Especially with people like Ren's creepy ass existing. In the following segment, we see how things are going with Tadano's group. They find out that they are also sharing a bedroom with a delinquent group. Some boy bathhouse shenanigans ensue. And my point of sexualized framing still stands with the boy characters too. But it's noticeably not as drawn out as it was with the girls. It was played off more humorous than sensual, while the shenanigans with the girls was more sensual than humorous, if that makes any sense. Lastly, the girls are fighting over who gets to sleep near Komi via pillow fight. A nice way to end this episode. Despite my huge gripe with the common but annoying framing of the bathhouse scenes, I still liked this episode. It played off existing dynamics as well as new ones, even pairing and groupings I never even considered. I hope in episode 9 we get at least one more segment focusing on the field trip to better explore these dynamics and get some neat scenarios. It'll be a great way to make new friendships and build up existing ones simultaneously. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts on bathhouses in general? Additionally, do you think they are portrayed well in media? Also, how do you handle misunderstandings? Let me know in the comments down below. Stay safe out there, and stay clean, my fellow peers. Bye!